everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on chapters 44 and 45 of Heaven Official's Blessing. I'm pretty excited, but you know what I'm even more excited for? I pre-ordered basically up through volume 5 of Heaven Official's Blessing right as soon as they came available. I pre-ordered them. I was like, I know I'm going to read the series. I know I'm going to want the official copies. Might as well get them. I wanted them, so I went ahead and pre-ordered volumes 1 through 5. And I think I pre-ordered volume 6. I can't remember. I'd have to look. I've been doing a lot of pre-ordering because knowing what's to come. But because I pre-ordered so soon, I was not shown what the cover was going to look like. It just had like a little blue thing with a ship for 7 seas on it. And they're like, oh, you'll find out soon. And so I've been doing a really good job of trying to avoid seeing what the covers are. And when volume 4's cover came out, everybody was like, oh my God, look at the cover. And I was like, I don't want to see it yet. It's going to come in the mail. I want to be surprised. And guess what showed up today? So yes, I was like, your package has arrived, and I knew what it was. I was like, this is the only thing I've pre-ordered that's going to come out right now, and I know this is it. Watch me open this box and it not be it. But I'm pretty sure it's what it is. But yeah, I ordered this box. I ordered the book. And so I told everybody in the Discord, I'm like, well, this week we don't have a Manhua chapter because next week the new chapter will come out in English translation. So I've been forced to wait. So next week we'll have a Manhua chapter. This week we're going to take a little break. So instead I was like, well, I'll just open this up instead. And we'll just talk about it. So yeah. Y'all, I've been so excited to read it and see it. And the thing of it is, like, on the shelf back there's volume 3. I know volume 3 is the cover of Xie Lian and Hua Chang, like, in the ocean. Whatever that means. But I've not looked. I don't look at the back covers. I don't look at the back covers for this. I just open up to see. When I plan out my parts, I do look at the table of contents, but I don't really read the title of the chapters. I just look for the chapters and what pages they are to try to figure out how many chapters I'm going to do at once. And that's pretty much it. I try to stay as away from it as possible, and I've practiced great patience because so far the rewards have been worth it. It's been worth it to be surprised, but I was like, okay, what am I getting into here? I was like, y'all say it's a good cover, so we'll see. Oh, there's like... It's like opening it up. There's like a thing underneath it, and there's words on the back of it. Oh, you know. Oh, you're joking! Oh my God! Oh my God! Just. What a spoiler! Well, okay. What a tease. We got something to look forward to in volume. We ain't even halfway through volume 2, but in volume 4, baby. In volume 4. Oh, that just looks glorious. Look at that. Look at that. Is there like drool coming out of his mouth? Is there like drool? Oh, the attention to detail, my friends. And I don't even know what this is about. We haven't got there yet, but yeah, oh my God. Yep. I don't even want to look at the cover's just a page. It's just a piece of parchment, and that's it. Okay, good. I'm not gonna look anymore. Oh yeah, the parchment, because everything has a little symbol, right? The volume 3 has like a little red pearl, and this one has like a little flower, right? So interesting, interesting. But and the first one had a silver butterfly. So, oh my God. Well, we know what to expect when we get here. So I'm gonna put this away before I just sit here the entire video and stare at it, but. This is really good. Oh, man. I can see why y'all went crazy. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, no. Bless you, artist. Bless you, artist. And there's, like, red paint there. What is even happening? We'll find out. Well, Xie Lian may not be an 800-year-old virgin for the entirety of the story. Or maybe he will be. Maybe they're just going to make out. Maybe we're just going to round to first base and call it good. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to put this back and then we'll get started. I'm going to have like a whole shelf of just Heaven Official's Blessing, because right now I have the Scum Villain series on there, and Modao Zushi, and Heaven Official's Blessing. But if I get all the volumes of Heaven Official's Blessing, I feel like I'm gonna have to move that little stuffed shelf down like to the very bottom or something, and then have my own little shelf just for Heaven Official's Blessing, which is fine. It's totally fine. But oh man, that was worth the wait. So yeah. So well, now that I've got my wits back about me, maybe. So I've got some comments before we start this volume. Holy cow. Before we start these chapters. I do have some comments that I want to address, so there's that. But yeah, so I want to address those comments, but we're going to be looking at chapters 44 and 45. There sadly won't be a Manhua chapter to talk about, but I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about. I was originally only going to do chapters 44 originally, but after reading 42 and 43 together and seeing that 44 is a little shorter than those, I was like, I can fit another chapter in there. I was like, yeah, I kind of want to do at least 2 chapters per reading, maybe 3 if there's not a lot of pages. But at the same time, I got like an hour and a half's worth of discussion out of 2 chapters. So, what do we do? But yeah, I do have some comments I want to talk about. We had like a little interesting discussion amongst Patreon. Yulia White, as well as Anime Annie and Couscous, we were talking about Star Ember. I had assumed, because people had said she is a pronoun for Star Ember, I had assumed that Star Ember was a woman. But then Yulia White talked about Star Ember being a man, and I was like, oh, whoops. I was like, I assumed and made an ass of myself. But then in the Discord, Anime Annie and Couscous were like, well, technically Star Ember hasn't told us their gender, but the Chinese fandom refers to them as she, and I was like, oh, so basically Star Ember is like the Banksy of Chinese Donmai illustrations, right? If you don't know who Banksy is a famous artist that does vandalism, but their gender is unknown. People assume that it's a man, but we don't know. So basically Star Ember is Banksy. So I'll probably just call them Star Ember or them. I feel like, or they. I just to be, since it's not confirmed, I feel like I would do that with Banksy, so I'll probably do that with them. But if I accidentally slip out and say he or she, know that I'm trying to be as respectful to Star Ember as possible. The point is Star Ember is an amazing artist, and their illustrations are gorgeous, and I really appreciate them. So the last several chapters have been a lot of fun. But that was a very interesting discussion, and kind of curious to see, some artists just don't reveal who they are, and that's kind of, which... Seeing what they're drawing, yes, I can imagine why they would probably want to keep themselves a little bit anonymous, especially how strict some laws can be for artists and authors, especially in China. So interesting. Pichu talked about how Long Ying's name is actually with Long said first because it's a surname, and I was like, oh, okay, so it should be Long Ying instead of Ying Long. So I just kind of flip-flopped that from the last part. But also talking about how the Windmaster's popularity could hint to the fact that they know who the shackled waning moon officer is and who the voice belongs to, because the Windmaster's pretty popular. They would kind of know these things and would probably have an idea of who everybody is, so that makes sense. And also talked about how the Windmaster staying in male form might have been to conserve power, because even though the female form is stronger for the Windmaster, it might consume more energy. So they stayed in the male form to kind of like save it up until they needed it. I thought that was a pretty apt explanation, so thank you. Marav L talked about the ring, doing some theorizing, and I get a little bit hesitant with theories because I'm always afraid that somebody that's read the novel is going to try to lead me along with a theory, being like, well, do you think it could be this? And I'm like, please don't do that. But Marav is like, I don't really know. I've not read any further than you. And I'm like, okay. But talking about whether the ring that Hua Chong gave them could be the ashes itself. Like the fact that the ashes are carbon, you compress it, enough, it becomes, diamond, right? And that made me think of Hua Chong in like the volcanic pit of all the other ghosts, if he took his ashes and compressed them into a ring, being like, I will give these to my Gege at one point. And then here we are. So I don't know if that's true or not. I don't want it confirmed or deconfirmed, but I thought that was a pretty interesting theory from somebody that's kind of in the same place I am encountering the story. So I thought that could be kind of cool. Qiang Fong talked about how Xie Lian, technically, I thought this was really cool. I hadn't even thought about this, but yeah, Xie Lian in the last section, when we had the Golden Palace, we talked about how Xie Lian was all about like wanting to preserve the palace and not have it topple over, and kind of has like a separation anxiety from it. But at the same time, Qian Fong said, well, when Xie Lian ascended for the third time, he did topple over a golden palace. And it was Feng Xin's. And I was like, oh yeah. So I thought that was really cool to point out that, yeah, he did topple over a golden palace of his own when he ascended. So how about that, you know? And Xie Lian didn't even really realize it. So I'm curious if that's Hua Chong making some kind of commentary about that to Xie Lian and trying to get Xie Lian to think about it. But Xie Lian's just not even thinking about it. So, interesting. And then real quick before we start. Real quick, and this is, I sound rude, and I don't want to be rude or mean or anything like that, but I do want to reiterate just two quick things. One, please don't confirm or deconfirm things that I've said that might be wrong. Because someone in the comments was saying, like, I was talking about Shan Zhijin in the last episode, in the last part possibly being the one that's like the Waning Moon officer, or that was kicked out of their thing. And someone was trying to tell me that Shan Zhijin was not the one they were talking about. And I was like, I don't want to know. I know some of you want to correct me and give me the right information, but I am begging you, please do not do that. I want it to be like I'm reading this for the first time, and if I'm wrong, I'm probably going to be corrected by the book, and I want to be corrected. Like, I'm so thankful that you all did not tell me that the Wind Master was in that scene of the Manhua, because it was such a fun surprise to actually stumble upon it in the story, that when you correct me, then I don't have anything to look forward to anymore. I'm just like, oh, cool. And I don't like it. So please don't do that. If I see anybody trying to do that, Patreon or YouTube, I just won't read your comment. And I don't want to do that. I want to read your comments because you guys are smart and you have great things to say, but I also want to have a genuine reaction. So please don't do that. And then also, don't tell me if chapters are cliffhangers or not. I don't think I said anything about that as until now, but don't let me know if a chapter's a cliffhanger. If I end on a cliffhanger, I end on a cliffhanger. Last chapter I ended on a cliffhanger and it sucked, but it's okay because I'm reading the next week. So it's not like I have to wait too long, but please don't tell me about cliffhangers. I'll stumble upon them as I get to them. And please do not confirm or deconfirm my theories or tell me if I'm wrong or right about something. Let me figure it out. And then if we get to the very end of the story and I'm still wrong about something, then you can tell me about how I'm wrong. But until then, please do not. If I see a comment that I think is going to be there, I'm not going to like tell anybody off or anything, but I'll just not read it because I just don't want to be spoiled and it's not worth taking the chance. So I just want to throw that out there. Y'all are amazing about not spoiling me. I'm very lucky and very grateful to have a community that doesn't want to spoil me because a lot of reaction channels, people try to spoil left and right. And that's why they don't read comments. So I don't ever want to get to that point. I always want to read the comments y'all post and talk with you about the stories. So please don't get me to that point. But that being said, I'm pretty excited for these chapters and to find out who the hell this person is, because I've been sitting here the last several days. I wanted to wait until that book came in. I knew it was going to arrive this week and I was like, I'm going to wait to read chapter 44 until the book comes in. And so it's been a very long wait sitting there being like, when do I get to read? And today's the day. So here we go. But I'm ready, y'all. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I forgot to keep this here for notes. But we are going to start Heaven Officials Blessing chapters 44 and 45. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And let's go. Ooh, come on. They told me to read the chapter titles, but I haven't done that because I wanted to stop. Paradise to Ashes. The Second Coming of Feng Xin. What? What? Hold on. Oh, he didn't have time to stop before it was too late. It revealed the silhouette of a black-clad man. The man in black has head hung low against the stone wall at the end of the path. Oh, like burning ice. Oh, he was gravely wounded. Oh, it's you. Oh, he calmed Rui. So you two know each other? Grievin was about to respond with me. I don't know him. Oh. What hurtful words? Mingzhong, I'm your best friend. What? I'm your best friend, Mingzhong. Oh! I have no friends that would run around in that sort of attire. Oh, it's the Earthmaster! Oh! Oh, was still in his ragged purple silk dress. Truly a shameful sight. Oh my god, someone's best friend. But Mingzhong, if you remember correctly, of the 5 elemental masters, the Earth Master's name was Ming Yi. Are you the Earth Master? It's him you've met before when he was a woman. Oh! Oh my gosh. Okay. Ooh. Have we? You have. We haven't. Yeah, you have. Last time at the Banyu Pass, you guys didn't forget that fast, did you? His face go from pale to grim. There was a black-clad lady. Oh, so him being imprisoned with San Long. Ooh. Okay. At the time, that wasn't the Water Master. Okay, but one of the 5 elementals. Okay. He was passionate about dragging others into doing the same. Oh, yes, she looked extremely pissed off and disgusted. Join in on the fun. Oh, yep, okay. Was the ascending fire dragon set forth by you? It was! Oh! They found the right person. Okay. Oh, we have to make our escape now and talk later. Let's get out of here. Aren't you good at fighting? You were perfectly fine back at Banyu Pass, so how'd you get beaten up this bad in several days? How'd you piss off that crimson rain-sought flower? Oh. Speaking as though he isn't afraid of getting punched, they are indeed good friends. Oh, he just said, shut up. And of course my dog is going to freak out. Oh, why would Hua Chong want to make things difficult for you? Well, of course he would fall asleep now. No, you didn't answer the question. At least answer the one question before you fall asleep. Damn it. That's a very important question to answer. Oh, shit. A bladed mountain or a sea of fire might have been a better alternative. Hua Chong's exceptionally handsome face was inches from him. Oh, no! It was the armory. Oh, shit. Oh. Composedly wiping Yiming. Oh. Oh, yeah, waiting for an explanation. And it was Lang Ying. Oh, no. Oh, the bandaged boy was sitting on the floor looking frightened, his hands grabbing his head, staring at the two of them. Why was Lang Ying here? It looked as if Hua Chong was interrogating him. But when his eyes moved upward, he saw half of the Windmaster's white boot stepping out. There wasn't time to think, and in a hurry, he gripped Hua Chong's shoulders. I'm sorry. Oh, no, and pushed him aside. Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my God, just sitting there looking at him. Allow me to explain. I'm waiting. Oh, my God. Oh. Earthmaster? What Earthmaster? The one the Windmaster's carrying? He's nothing more than a subordinate of mine. Well, he's one of the heavenly officials. How dare you say otherwise? Then I wonder why your honorable heavenly official would hide his identity, dropped his respectable title, and come work as an officer under me. Oh, what patience put on act for 10 years. In the past 10 years, I had thought him suspicious from time to time, but there was no proof. If it wasn't for bumping into him and the Windmaster of Banyu, I'd still be in the clouds. Oh, that's when he recognized him, but he didn't say anything. Oh, no. So that's what happened. The Earthmaster went missing and was imprisoned, ultimately because he'd hidden his true identity 10 years ago to go undercover as a ghost officer under Hua Chong. He was a spy. Oh, okay. So he was spying on Hua Chong. Oh. He'd only kept him under his watch. And he'd uncovered his identity as the Earthmaster during Banyu Pass, next to the Windmaster. Oh, even under the skies of a woman, he saw beneath the fake skin. Oh. Oh my gosh. Oh no, this is good. Oh my gosh. So yeah, it would be this big scandal. So yeah, the whole ordeal. Hua Chong left the shrine to go conclude things with the Earthmaster, and the Earthmaster sent out the distress signal, and that caused everything to be set into motion. Okay, so if Ming Yi was to remain in prison and tortured, all heaven would break loose! All heaven would break loose! Oh my gosh. If he were to die in Hua Chong's hands, it would be utter chaos. No one would be spared. And so Xie Lian's trying to do damage control. He's like, I understand the fault's ours, but let us go this time around. Your Highness, some things are best not to get involved in overmuch. Oh no. Oh, all the weapons shaking in the armory. Lord Windmaster, we haven't done anything yet. I don't think either of you are going to make a move first, so I'll be the bad guy this time. Oh my gosh, Wind, come to me. Oh my god, no. Oh, the roof, he's raising the roof. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, he's gonna crack through the roof. His raven black hair and maple red clothes flew wildly with the winds, but his person never moved. You have a fan, and coincidentally, so do I. Oh, what is this? What is this fan? What? What? Oh my gosh. Rows of golden foils nailed to the ground. Each foil thin but deeply embedded, its sharpness apparent and vicious. Oh yeah, this army is the worst place they could be because they're all his weapons. Oh my gosh. Oh. It was a limited space, yeah. Oh my gosh. And the golden foils, the foreshadowing of the gold foils, and then it all just flowing around. Oh my gosh. And Xie Lian, of course, doesn't want anybody to get harmed, so he shields Lan Ying. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Xie Lian. Oh. Oh. Oh my gosh. He wanted to stop, however, the roof was being raised by the winds, revealing a crack. If he should stop now, his efforts would go to waste. Oh. There's a cacophony of crackling before a person broke through the roof. Oh my god. Lord Woodmaster, I apologize. I just couldn't sit still anymore. It's Long. It's Chonchu. Oh, Chonchu, you've come in the nick of time. Oh my gosh. No. The size of a grown man's palm. Yep, his long sword's shimmering gold. It was sucked up all the gold foils. Oh, making it look like a golden sword. Oh. So it was forged from a loathsome mountain. It could magnetize. Oh, that's cool. I like that. Okay. All right. He can mentally release its ability and magnetize surrounding metals, melting it into his blade. Ooh. Ooh. Nice. He closed his fan and threw it away behind him. Are the heavenly officials so pathetically poor they couldn't let a teeny bit of gold go? Oh my gosh. They were directed at Long Chongchu, who was born of royalty. He hadn't cared for riches his entire life, and he knew the enemy was intentionally taunting him. He was still boiling with rage. Oh no. Oh, Ming! Silver shimmers in the air, ready to welcome the attack. Oh! Like a newborn bull, fearless of tigers! He'd seen the difference between their strength, and if the strike landed, he would die for sure. Oh, no, don't. Oh, a blinding white light blew up the armory. What? What? Oh, it was a light so immense that it covered every inch of the armory, and everyone lost their sight temporarily. All they could see was white. Xie Lian, however, was prepared and could see with some difficulty. His right hand gathered all the powers he borrowed from Xi. Oh, and they created a giant flame and blazed it towards a random direction. A quarter of the armory was immediately caught on fire. He wrapped himself around the Windmaster, Ming Yi, Long Qingchu, and said, blow us upwards. He followed the direction, breaking through the shaky roof. Oh my gosh, what is this chapter? Oh! The giant flames ablaze, black smoke heavy in the air. The armory was burning. Oh. It's just like Xie Lian's armory burning. It became fanning the flame. The blaze instantly erupted in size, and kindles landed in nearby buildings. Now half of Paradise Manor was ablaze. He grabbed a hold of Windmaster, who was fanning with all his might. Windmaster, please stop fanning. The whole place is going to burn down. All right, I'm stopping. Let go. Your Highness, your grip is too strong. It wasn't until the Windmaster stopped the winds that Xie Lian let go. He looked down, and amidst the red flames, he was still able to spot a crimson silhouette. There were two eyes in the sky, and he couldn't see clearly, but his gut instinct told him that in that moment in time, Hua Chong was standing there watching him. He didn't give chase, and he didn't put out the flames. He stood there, letting the wildfires devour capriciously. Outside the manor, screams and howling roared from the ghost city streets, and the crowds of ghosts ran amok. Oh, I only wanted to start a small fire to create a distraction. How did it turn out like this? Yeah, he wanted to gift him the entire armory, but now everything was engulfed in a sea of fire. There were many gold devices that were unafraid of intense heat. There were surely many that could not touch flames. Many treasures would become ashes. Oh, it was still his residence. Oh! Oh, and the Windmaster felt bad. He's like, I'm sorry, Your Highness. I didn't think things through and wanted to escape faster. It's all my fault. It was a small flame at first. If the Crimson Rainflower comes knocking for paybacks, just tell him to come to me. Don't worry. I can pay whatever amount. Money is never an issue. Oh. But money was definitely not the issue. Oh, and a stark smell of blood. His face like color. Your Highness, what happened to your hand? His right hand was covered in blood. His entire right arm was dyed with blood. And the trembling was not slight. Both hands still held sternly onto the white silk band to keep everyone from getting blown apart by the wild winds. What's going on with you? He blinked back and strained himself before shaking his head. It's nothing. It's a small injury. I'll get better once we get back. The white light was you! Your Highness, you broke those two off! I'm a swordsman after all. When the blades of Huachong and Chanshu were about to make contact, Xie Lian flashed in. He picked up a sword from the pile of weapons and made 2 moves between the sword and the scimitar. Oh! He knocked Changshu's longsword, and the second one he blocked Yiming. The strength of those 2 moves was not only powerful, but well controlled. Even when Xie Lian blocked both blades, the force of the strikes were not rebounded onto the attackers. Because with Xie Lian sandwiched in the middle, he used his sword and his own arm to absorb the attacks. Oh my god, you would, Xie Lian, you would! Oh no! Oh. The longsword was manageable, but the scimitar was a force to be reckoned with. The sword he used was one from Huachong's collection, so naturally it was a formidable blade. When they met, it blasted that blinding white light. With 2 moves, the first strike against Long Changshu's longsword created a crack, and the second strike against the scimitar Yiming shattered the sword to pieces. It was done within the fraction of a second. Oh, his whole right arm a bloody mess. Oh, Xie Lian. Oh no, Huachong's gonna... Oh no. Your Highness, you're way too intense. I can't believe you blocked them single-handedly. Yeah, with no power either. No power. The flower-crowned martial god, sword in one hand, flower in the other. He only remembered the flower, but had forgotten. He ascended because of his sword. Ah, thinking back on how close of a call it was, his heart was still racing. Thank goodness Your Highness had the moves. Otherwise, who knows how many pieces Long Changshu would be cut in by Huachong. The strange thing was, next to them, Long Changshu appeared to be unharmed, but his expression was frozen like his soul had left his body. Chanshu! Chanshu, are you all right? Wake up! What's with you? Has your sight not returned yet? Riding on Tailwind, the group of them finally reached the heavenly capital. Oh my gosh, they just left him there in the flames. Oh my gosh. Oh no. They rushed past the Ascension Gate and ran straight to the Great Martial Hall. Yong'an couldn't enter the hall, so Xie Lian settled him in a small side chamber. No one seemed to be on duty, so they called in the communication array. Oh my gosh, they just booked it out of there. Oh my god. Ah! Is there any honorable official here? Oh, it's an emergency. We have a wounded official. Oh. The Windmaster snapped his fingers and switched back to his white cultivator robe. Yeah, get out of those clothes! Get out of those clothes! It's 2 wounded officials. Don't be so excited. We can just talk. There's no need to release any merits. Everyone will naturally come. No, Your Highness. You have to know. Spreading merits works faster than talking by 100 times. Who's wounded? Oh, it was Feng Xin. Oh. I'm fine, but the Lord Earthmaster seems to be heavily wounded. What happened to your right hand? Oh shit, oh no, oh no. Oh no. So what? Another voice came. There are so many heavenly officials. Whoever returned unscathed after a round of patrol. It was decorous and mellow. but the word's sharp. Mu Qing. Oh, of course both of them would be the first ones to show up, right? He took a look at Xie Lian and Lang Chongchu. His expression was the opposite of Feng Xin, having only raised a brow as if ready to spectate a good show. Oh, he saw Feng Xin move to check on Xie Lian's arm, so he bent to check on Ming Yi. So this is the Lord Earthmaster. And then, of course, everybody else comes in, right? Oh, so they'd been inconspicuous and out of sight. They'd never seen his person. Oh, interesting. But they collected the merits. Of course they did. Of course they did. It'll get better by itself after a while. Watch yourself. Oh. Oh, Tai Hua, what's wrong? Was His Highness injured somewhere? I don't think so. Let me see. Reaching for Lang Chongchu's brow, yet in a flash, he seized Xie Lian's wrist. There was no hesitation, as if he discovered something but wasn't sure. A fire started burning in his eyes. What? Oh, Your Highness, what are you doing? Guoshi. What? His pupil shrank. Guoshi? Who's Guoshi? Who's the Guoshi? Oh. Lang Chongchu was the crown prince of Yong'an, and the Guoshi of Yong'an during his time was the second of the two wicked masters, the Guoshi Feng Xin. No one knew of his origin or his real identity. Yet here, Lang Chongchu had Xie Lian in his grip and called him Guoshi, meaning Xie Lian was the evil that had brought ruin to Yong'an, the Guoshi Feng Xin. What? But Xie Lian was the crown prince of Shanli. Shanli had fallen in the hands of the kingdom of Yong'an. Why would he go and become the Guoshi of Yong'an? What? He was renowned for his optimism and cheerfulness, never having played mind games, nor made things difficult for anyone, and he had never exhibited such an expression, half despair, half rage, half enmity, half hatred. Lang Chongchu had Xie Lian in a deadly grip, his breath becoming harsher, and finally he said in a strained voice, I clearly killed you with my 2 hands. Sealed you in that coffin. You, Guoshi. You certainly are a crafty one. What? Heavens, it looked like something big was about to go down today. Oh, that's the end of that chapter? Are you joking? What? Oh, okay. Okay. What? Holy shit, what is happening? Oh my god. Okay. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to go back before we start the discussion and look back at volume 1 with the whole thing about the Guoshi, because we're tying back to Feng Xin, which was the Guoshi of Yong'an. There were 2 masters, right? I'm gonna have to go back before we start the discussion and talk about that, and look that up. But oh my god. Chapter 45. What? I'm glad I'm reading chapter 45, because that cliffhanger would have sucked. The Black-Hearted Guoshi. Gilded Banquet awash in blood. What a chapter title! Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, with unconcealed shock. Mu Qing had glowing eyes. The schooled shock had a hidden layer of excitement. Ooh, Mu Qing wants tea to be spilled, and Feng Xin seems concerned. Feng Xin seems much more concerned about Xie Lian, and Mu Qing just wants something bad to happen. Did you misunderstand something? Oh, this is the Windmaster talking. If His Highness was that Guoshi Feng Xin, how would you not recognize him until now? Shangxin, don't you know? Legends say the Guoshi Feng Xin was proud, mysterious, and cold. He'd always worn a white gold mask, having never shown his real face to anyone. You mustn't never have seen his real looks. Well, it was Pei Ming. Pei Ming's here now. Everybody's here. Oh my god. Oh, and of course the Windmaster's annoyed and swung his whisk. Of course. This is great. Okay. No one had seen what he looked like. Why, Mr. No Pei, make it sound like it's a sure thing that Shanli is the Guoshi Feng Xin? Oh. When in action, the Windmaster and Xie Lian were ridiculous and hilarious, but once in the heavenly court, they changed their composure, calm and poised, mindful of their behavior. Just then, a snow-white silhouette appeared from the back chambers. Oh my god, this is just... What is this? What is this? Oh my god. Ah! Okay, so Jun Wu has shown up, so maybe Jun Wu, if Daddy Wu here is gonna be like, no, everything's fine. This is a big misunderstanding. Surely that's how this is gonna go down, right? He's gonna bring some order to this, right? Oh my gosh. And he passed Xie Lian, he tapped on his right shoulder. Oh, the sleeve that was still dripping with fresh blood ceased immediately after the tap. Okay. Oh, all right. It's nothing serious. Settle the Earth Master in. Okay. And took Mingyi away. And of course the Wind Master wanted to follow. Oh, I shipped them so hard. The Wind Master and the Earth Master. I shipped them. Okay, yeah, but... Okay. I like the Wind Master stuck behind Xie Lian. Good. Good on him. What happened? Why won't Taihua let Shanli go? And why is Shanli bowing his head? This man altered his name to Feng Shen, slaughtered my clan, and brought ruin to my kingdom. I request a duel. Oh. Ran to the research the name with the communication array. Oh my god, they just went to go do their research. And of course Ling Wen's like, oh god, I'm busy enough. Why do y'all have to ask me for help? Oh my gosh. Oh my god. The Guoshi Feng Shen was the savior and teacher to the Crown Prince of Yong'an, Lang Changchu. He was named one of the two wicked masters because of the infamous bloodbath that washed the gilded banquet of the Yong'an monarchy. What was the gilded banquet? Lord Windmaster, the gilded banquet was a tradition passed down from the nobility of Shanli, and called thus because of all the cutlery, utensils, cups, and instruments that were the highest grade of gold, exquisite and luxurious. After the kingdom of Yong'an was established at the beginning, they announced to the world they would not follow the culture of excess from the old kingdom and put all their focus onto their people. After a few decades later, the old ways were relearnt, including that of culture and excess. On the night of the 17th birthday of the Crown Prince of Yong'an, which would match the 17th birthday of Xie Lian, the palace threw a gilded banquet in celebration. That Guoshi Feng Shen, in that feast with one sword in hand, slaughtered every member of the royal family in attendance. The golden goblets toppled and blood spilt like wine. Only the Crown Prince escaped because of his late arrival to the feast. Oh! The coup d'etat was a huge blow to the foundation of Yong'an, and if it wasn't for Lang Changchu, who had the people's heart and his hard work, there would no doubt have been a riot. It was with great difficulty that the chaos was settled, and soon after, the Yong'an monarchy released a bounty to pursue the fugitive murderer. At last, when he was captured, Changchu killed the Guoshi with his two hands, sealed the corpse with a triple-layered coffin before sealing it underground again. So he didn't look at him that whole time. He stayed with that mask on. I would have taken the mask off if I killed the body, but it is Changchu, though. It is Changchu, right? The roots of the monarchy had been gravely damaged. It inevitably declined before it was overtaken by another clan in the end. I just find it hard to believe that our divine being started a red wedding. What? I don't understand why you did what you did. You said you couldn't stand seeing us on the throne, but I didn't believe it. Oh, now I finally know why. This is revenge. It couldn't have been anything else. Shanli had fallen, so he had to ruin Yong'an too. Yong'an killed his royal parents, so he had to murder the royal parents of the crown prince, an eye for an eye. It was pure vengeance. But the ones who wiped out Shanli weren't of Changchu's generation. The rage was unreasonable. And here I thought the laughingstock of the three realms was a fool, but he was quite an aggressive character, going undercover as a Guoshi in an enemy state, slaughtering the entire monarchy in one go. Incredible. Xie Lian could feel Jun Wu's eyes on him and closed his own. Yeah, why aren't you standing up for yourself, Xie Lian? Why aren't you defending yourself? You firmly believe Shanli to be the Feng Shen, but do you have proof? The Guoshi Feng Shen was the one who taught me swordsmanship. How could I not recognize the moment he strikes? Oh my god! But, Never mind making a mess of things. Isn't teaching the Crown Prince swordsmanship a little too extra? No wonder after the third ascension we haven't seen him touch a single sword. He's afraid to show his tail. No, that's not it! No! This time I went to the Guoshi and fought with the Crimson Rain sought flower. Oh my gosh, no! Oh my god, oh no, this is not good. When I was 12, there once When I was 12, there was once when I was kidnapped during an outing. The kidnappers dragged me into the streets, and when the guards caught up, they started brawling. A street performer was dragged in, and bruised as he was, he intercepted the fight with but a tree branch and easily rescued me with a few swings. The kidnappers and the guards both suffered grave damages, and it was the street performer who escorted me all the way back to the palace. Out of immense gratitude, His Majesty, my father, and the Queen tried to retain him and discovered his skills in swordsmanship, so he was invited to become the Guoshi. He taught me the way of the blade for 5 years. How can I be wrong? Oh my god, a street performer, which we know Xie Lian's been before. Are you saying what you saw was but a shadow? Oh, Muqing, ooh! You're saying that what you saw was but a shadow. Other than you, no one else has seen it. So all of this is only by your word. Ooh, okay! Oh my god. Muqing's argument sounded like it was in Xie Lian's favor, but it was actually more complex. He had already seen that Chanshu wouldn't let this go, and the more he was questioned, the more he would prove himself, not the least bit helpful to Xie Lian's situation. Oh, He said, fine, bring me a sword. This is bonkers! What? This is not where I thought this was heading. Oh my gosh. Take it. He forced it in front of Xie Lian. We'll duel now without holding back, using everything we've got and see whether we have the same style and whether I was taught by you. Oh, it was a reckless act. But with the gilded banquet, that a crown prince's entire family was slaughtered in cold blood, they could understand why he was this agitated. Xie Lian's injury was still on the Windmaster's mind. Oh, he's like, His Highness blocked that attack from Hua Chong for you and injured his right arm, so how can he duel with you? Chanshu suddenly extended his left palm and smacked heavily upon his own right arm. Oh my god! Oh! What are you doing? The Lord Windmaster was right. You did injure your arm saving me, and I return an arm to you. But saving me is one thing. Killing my clan is the undeniable truth. I know you're dexterous and can use a sword with either arm. Oh my god, we'll duel with our left. Pick up the sword if you're a man. Oh my god, this is insanity. Oh my god. He looked at the sword and looked at him and finally shook his head slowly. I've sworn many years ago to never kill with the sword again. With those words, Chanshu recalled the night when he arrived at the feast, the scene of the black-robed man pulling a long sword from the dead bodies of his parents. His eyes reddened with madness and the sword in his left hand emitting a shaking, crackly sound from his left grip. The Windmaster swung out his whisk again and it wrapped around the sword to hold it down. I think there might be some sort of misunderstanding here. If that Guoshi Fengshen had always worn a mask, then anyone could have pretended to be him to commit murder. What does my lord think? Shanli, do you concede to Taihua's accusations? I concede. Oh, very unlike Xie Lian's usual manner of speaking. And the faces of Fengshen, Muqing, and the Windmaster all dropped. The Guoshi Fengshen who spilt blood upon the gilded banquet, was it you? After a moment of silence, Xie Lian raised his head, determined. That's right, it was me. Words of steel with no turning back. Oh, but, so you admit, very good. As mentioned previously, there were numerous heavenly officials with mortal blood on their hands in the upper court. But truthfully, there hadn't been that many who had had their blood debt escalate to this point. It might be because those mortals didn't have someone like Chanshu in the family who could ascend and demand justice from the heavens. Before, Pei Su had General Pei as a shield, but in the end, he couldn't escape exile. Xie Lian had no one behind him, so now it would all depend on whether Jun Wu still valued past affections and held the heart to protect him. Oh, what? Yet many still couldn't fathom what attitude Jun Wu held toward Xie Lian. The first ascension, the Crown Prince of Shanli, was of course treated with the utmost favor. The second ascension, the two had a huge fight, and Xie Lian even stabbed Jun Wu a few times before he was defeated. And the third ascension, the two had been at peace with each other as if the past conflicts had been forgotten. They're freaking exes! And Jun Wu had even built a palace for Xie Lian in the nicest area of the heavenly capital. It was truly difficult to understand. Now everyone had their ears attentive, waiting eagerly to hear how the Lord would sentence Xie Lian. They're freaking exes. Oh my god. Xie Lian spoke up first. Shan Li has a presumptuous request. What is it? I humbly asked him to remove my godhood and banish me to the immortal realm. No one wanted to be banished. It's not easy to ascend. To work so hard to climb so high only to fall. Just thinking about it felt rueful. To dare ask for banishment from Jun Wu so straightforwardly, a lot of them couldn't do it. Some of the heavenly officials didn't think much of it. After all, at this point, it might be better to back off than fight to the death. Xie Lian had been banished twice already. A third time probably meant nothing to him, and maybe he was even used to it. I don't need you to banish yourself. Ascension happens because you have the skills. I only want a duel. I don't want to fight you. Why? It's not like we've never fought before, life or death. The outcome doesn't matter. Let's just put an end to this. No reason. Fight me and you will for sure die. Oh my god! No! Oh! Oh my. Oh my. Oh my, oh my. What? What were these chapters? What the hell? Where do I even start? I had to go back and get volume 1. I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those stories, because I know how MXTX works. It's going to be one of those stories where you find out something and then you're like, I got to go back to where you first heard about that and see if it checks out, right? I have a feeling that's what's going to be happening with this story. Except the problem is, Modao Zushi's like 5 volumes. This is like 8. So it's going to be just this big old thing, right? So, first and foremost, before I get into this delve into madness that are these 2 chapters, please do not confirm or deconfirm anything I say. We can talk about it. We can talk about like Mooching and Feng Shen, their whole attitudes. Jun Wu, got a whole thing about Jun Wu. We talk about Hua Chong, like the imagery, like everything going on. But I do not, if I say a theory and you're like, Romania, you are wrong, it's actually this, do not tell me. Don't tell me I'm wrong. Don't be like, well, you're not thinking about, don't even. Don't even. I don't want to know. I want to find out as I go, because I have a feeling that's how MXTX wants it to be. MXTX wants you, as the reader, to figure this out as we go. Because MXTX, one of the things that she's so good at is giving you little breadcrumbs, and then you slowly start to piece things together, and you think you've got the puzzle finished. And she's like, actually, that's like half of this puzzle over here. And you're like, wait, there's a bigger puzzle? So those of you that have read the entire novel and you know the answers, do not tell me the answers. That ruins the surprise. Don't do that. So please, be nice, please. Because I know I'm going to say some things. I know I'm going to be wrong. I know I'm going to say some things and be wrong, but that's fine. I have no problem with being wrong. I want to be proven different. I want to be surprised. And if I'm proven right, that's great. But if I'm wrong, I'm fine with that, because I'm here for the ride and here to see what's up. Man, these 2 chapters. Oh my God, this just got a lot crazier, right? A lot crazier, right? So, you can't judge a book by its cover. You cannot judge Xie Lian by his cover, apparently. He is, man, we're going to talk about Xie Lian. What a complicated character. And I still think there's something up, but we're going to talk about it as we get through. In the chapters, we went through parts 17 and 18 in the book here. The only picture that we get in the English translation, it's a gorgeous picture. It's beautiful, but it is of the Wind Master fanning the flames and Hua Chong just standing there laughing like he do, and Xie Lian looking concerned. That's a gorgeous shot. It's beautiful. I love that picture quite a bit. I'll probably share it in the Discord. But yeah. Oh my God. The gilded banquet washed in blood. Oh my God. Huh. We're near the halfway point of volume 2. We're near the halfway point. We're not quite there yet though. But yeah, I had to go back and get volume 1, go through things. We went through a lot in this chapter. And this chapter was like kind of heartbreaking in a way. Kind of heartbreaking. Let's just dive into it. So the Earthmaster shows back up. I love that things we've touched on in volume 1 is coming full circle, and it's all tying back around, right? It's all coming full circle, which is a lot of fun. I like that we're getting things from the last arc that is now being updated and moved into this one. That's a lot of fun. So we talk about the Earth Master, right? So we're gonna I'm gonna put them in green because it's the Earth, right? So we have Ming Yi. So yeah, the Manhua kind of spoiled the name of that character, that it was the Earth Master early, but it's fine. We're caught up. I feel good knowing that Ming Yi is now in the story officially. So that little kind of hiccup with the spoiler, it's now out there. So I feel a lot better about that. I was afraid it was going to be something that was going to come way down the line, that it was the Earth Master. But no, we solved that in a few chapters. We're fine. We're great. So Ming Yi is the Earth Master, supposedly, right? Is the Earth Master and has been a spying on Huachong the last 10 years. Okay. But here's the thing, and again, Ming Yi is not the Waning Moon Officer. That's the crazy part, right? We kind of forget about the Waning Moon Officer in this chapter, right? We kind of just forget that they exist because we found out who's been kept in the cellar, right? Who's been kept down there. So we find out, because yeah, Ming Yi doesn't have any shackles on them. They sent the flare, right? That's so curious. Now it all makes sense, because it's like, well, who would have enough spiritual energy to send a flare if not for like a retired heavenly official? Well, if it was a heavenly official acting as a spy, then yeah, sure. Again, though, there are lots of questions that are unanswered in this chapter 44. They're unanswered and they're left to our interpretation and for us to like wallow in mystery, because chapter 45 is just absolutely bonkers. And so, yeah, so they sent the flare. They're the ones that did that. And then Huachong figured out they were a spy in Banyu. That's the crazy thing. If Huachong hadn't been there, then the Windmaster and Ming Yi could have probably gotten away with it, because none of the others would have noticed. They'd been like, I don't know who that is. Even Xie Lian's like, I don't understand. But because Huachong could see through it, they knew it was the Windmaster, and they're like, oh, you are actually still with the Heavenly Officials. You didn't abandon them like you told me. Interesting. And so that's why they apprehended them as soon as they got back. And as they were apprehended, the timeline matches up. As soon as Huachong got back, he was like, we're going to take care of this. They were apprehended, and they sent the flare out to attract Jun Wu's attention. And by sheer coincidence, it seems, Xie Lian was put on the job. Okay. Which we'll talk about Jun Wu. They're freaking exes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. God. Okay. Yep. Lots of stuff to talk about. But yeah, I do love that the Windmaster I'm shipping Ming Yi and the Windmaster so hard. Earth and the Wind, man. Leafs in a breeze. I'm shipping them so hard because they are really, I love them together in this. The Windmaster is such an interesting character. I do like the Windmaster a lot, because even when they act impulsive and even when they're like, flying by the breeze, when they come back down to earth, so to speak, and get grounded, they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And the Windmaster seems like they are genuinely in Xie Lian's court. And I like that a lot. I appreciate that she is totally in Xie Lian's court and is willing to help them. So is still a friend to Xie Lian despite it all, despite everything, right? I like that a lot. But yeah, so the Windmaster is besties with the Earthmaster, so of course they would notice who it was, and I was like, it's you, it's my best friend, and even says that they're best friends. I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's the Earthmaster's BFF. Freaking love it. Absolutely. And then my notes are like all over the place. And so Xie Lian asks why Huachong would be interrogating them, and that's when they fall asleep, which we find out why later, but it's just like the most inconvenient time to fall asleep. The Earthmaster's like finally freed from their shackles, and they just kind of like just collapse, and Xie Lian's like, this is the least appropriate time for this to happen, but whatever. And then so he goes, basically they find out he sent the flare, and Xie Lian rolls the dice. And the thing about it is, Xie Lian rolls the dice and doesn't even think about it. They're just trying to get out. And Xie Lian's like, I know I got some luck. Let's go. And in the one moment, trusts himself. And where does it take him to? Takes him right directly to Hua Chong, right? So we're going to put Hua Chong up here. Takes it right to him. Like, and I love Xie Lian's like, you're the last person we needed to see, because he feels so guilty. He's like, we snuck through your house. We infiltrated your manor under the guise of something that was kind of a lie. We got your prisoner out of jail that you probably didn't want, and now we're trying to escape with them, and now we've run into you. So, and I love that Xie Lian's just like, I'm sorry! Like, pushes him out the way. Just yeets him across the room. I want to see it animated so bad, because it's just Xie Lian's like, move! And just, I'm sorry. I love that he says he's sorry as he yeets Hua Chong. And Xie Lian, this whole time, spiritually shackled, should have no power whatsoever, is able to yeet a supreme ghost across the room several meters. Now, granted, Hua Chong let it happen, but still, Xie Lian is insanely strong. Insanely strong with the shackles, and we're just getting glimpses of it, right? But yeah, he throws Hua Chong out of the way, saying that he's sorry. So we put that here, thrown out of the way. And we'll just put that Xie Lian was very sorry. And honestly, Xie Lian was probably thinking, well, the Windmaster's about to come out of all this, and I don't want Hua Chong to get hurt, so I'm just like, get out of the way so we don't, make room, right? And then for some reason, Lang Ying was there. Lang Ying was there. And it was like, he gets abandoned in this subplot. He gets put in one of the chambers. Are they going to remember him? Like, remember he's in one of the sub-chambers? You need to take care of your kid. Lang Ying was there, but what was Hua Chong doing? Now, here's the thing. You could look at it this way. Did Hua Chong see the writing on the wall and he was like, okay, I know that my Gege is with the Windmaster. They're down in the chamber, probably rescuing the Earthmaster, because he knows that these two were together at Banyu, so it all makes sense. Hua Chong's like, I figured he'll come to rescue him. Okay, and he's connected to Xie Lian. So even though Hua Chong may or may not know what Jun Wu has tasked Xie Lian with, he's like, okay, I get what you guys are doing. You're here to save the Earthmaster, fine. So maybe Hua Chong brought Lang Ying to the place where he knew the door was going to lead them to the armory. That's it. He's in the armory, right? He's waiting in the armory. Okay, and the thing about it is, he's waiting in the armory. He gets thrown out of the way. I think, my theory is, he knew that Xie Lian was going to show up in the armory by using the dice to get out of that chamber, because that's where it led to. Would make sense. And so he brought Lang Ying there, waiting to be like, I know, Gege, that you're trying to escape and go back to the Heavenly Realm. Fine. Here's your pet. You wanted to take him with you. You wanted to take him with you to cultivate. I'm not taking care of him if you don't want him, so you take him and let's go. That's my theory. I think he took Lang Ying there under the guise that he knew Xie Lian was coming back, that Xie Lian was going to leave, and then he was like, here, take your pet, come back anytime you want, and was going to let them leave with the Earthmaster, because he probably didn't want to start a fight with Xie Lian or the Windmaster at this time. That was my thoughts, right? And so he says sorry, and I like that Hua Chong's not mad at Xie Lian. That's the thing, he's not mad. He's just kind of like, you gonna explain yourself? Like, you're gonna talk to me? So yeah, he's not mad at Xie Lian. That's kind of the thing. He's not mad at him. He just wants to know, like, what's your explanation? Go on, tell me. Tell me what's going on, right? And so the Windmaster comes through, of course, and questions Hua Chong. And Hua Chong's like, oh, well, you call him the Earthmaster. Well, they've been working for me the last 10 years, supposedly. Why would they strip their title? And then Xie Lian connects the dots and realizes that they're a spy. So Xie Lian, which we're going to put Xie Lian right here next to Hua Chong. Xie Lian wants to talk things out. Talk things out and go so Jun Wu will dismiss the whole thing. because Xie Lian knows that Jun Wu is the heavenly emperor. He has control over everything up there. So he's like, I really don't want him to get involved in this and to come down and threaten Hua Chong. Because in Xie Lian's mind, Hua Chong hasn't really done much. I mean, granted, the Earth Master has been questioned terribly, but Xie Lian comes to terms, he's like, well, Hua Chong's been, interrogating him because he doesn't know why the Earth Master was a spy. I don't know why the Earth Master was a spy. The Wind Master doesn't know. So we're kind of all in the dark here. The last thing we need to do is cause a big conflict, because as he says, if the Earth Master, ends up getting killed by Hua Chong, it's gonna be a big deal. Like, one of the Elemental Masters getting killed by the Supreme Ghost would cause... I love that they said all heaven will break loose. I was like, oh my god, yes, please. All heaven will break loose. I love that phrasing. But yeah, he's like, we don't want to cause a big fuss and panic. He's like, let's just calmly negotiate this. We'll leave, and then we'll go back, and it'll be like nothing ever happened, and Jun will dismiss it, and we'll just all go on our merry way. Now, granted, is that a little bit naive? Yeah, because the Earth Master's been sent to spy on him. That's the question, though. So a big question is why? And we don't get an answer because the Earth Master's just completely, exhausted. So why was he spying the last 10 years? What's the deal? Why spy on Hua Chong? And why 10 years? Like, what's the deal? Why is that a thing? What's going on with that? I'm going to make note up here that you can't see that. I'm going to make note over here that the Waning Moon officer is MIA. We don't know where they're at. They have conveniently disappeared from the story. I'm sure MXTX will in no way, shape, or form bring them up later at a inconvenient time. I'm sure that won't come to fruition, right? We'll never see them again. No, we will. We will. It'll just be at the most crazy time, because that's how MXTX works. They're like, oh, you saw this character once? Okay, 20 chapters from now, they're going to come in with a grenade. Hope you're ready. So it's like, that's just like the whole Feng Xin thing. So yeah, just a grenade. But yeah, Xie Lian wants to talk things out, and so he wants Jun Wu to dismiss the whole thing. The Earth Master, we find out, was a spy. Hua Chong confirmed it at the Banyu Pass, and he was trying to find out who sent him as a spy, and it would be, and what would I say here, that it would be basically looked into. And Xie Lian's like, yeah, it's our fault. Xie Lian's like, we should not have sent somebody to spy on you. We're very sorry. Let us go, and we'll come back later. And then Hua Chong calling Xie Lian Your Highness, like very calmly, like he's like, look, he says, some things are best not to get involved in overmuch. And Hua Chong, I think Hua Chong is like, he does not want to involve Xie Lian. Because he's like, this is about to get ugly, and I don't want you a part of it. Which is kind of funny. I guess I might as well just bring Jun Wu over here. We'll just put Xie Lian in between Jun Wu and Hua Chong. How fitting, right? So we'll put Jun Wu over here. All right. Because Jun Wu, he involved Xie Lian in the conflict. But now, again, I told y'all, I'm giving Jun Wu a fair shake. We'll still talk about him because I'm still like, but I will give him this. There could be a chance that he wanted to involve Xie Lian because he had faith. He had faith in his reform. Okay. He had faith in his reform and abilities. Okay. Whereas Hua Chong does not want Xie Lian to get involved because he wants to keep him safe. Okay. You have two characters that both have affections towards Xie Lian. We'll talk about Jun Wu and him in chapter 45, but Hua Chong wants to keep Xie Lian safe. He's like, and we've seen that Xie Lian has gotten himself into a lot of trouble in the last several chapters, and Hua Chong's just kind of like, you kind of have a knack for getting into problems, and I really don't think you need to get involved in this because it's way bigger than what you think, and he knows Xie Lian will try to get involved and doesn't need to, and he's like, just stay out of it, right? Just stay out of it. It's best that you don't get involved. But the Windmaster's like, screw this. The Windmaster is rather impulsive to their discretion. They're rather impulsive, And I do honestly love when the Windmaster's like, look, I can see that you two are not going to fight each other. You're not going to get involved. He's like, I know you guys are practically a couple, but I'll be the bad guy. I'll be the one to bust us out. And it's like, oh my God. I love that he's like, I'll be the bad guy. And I just want to see this animated so bad where he's like, wind, come to me. And he's like fanning all the flame, like fanning all the wind in the armory. I want to see it so bad. But then he has a fan duel. He has a fan duel with Hua Chong. I want to see that animated. Like Hua Chong just picks up this fan from the ground. This gold leaf fan is just like, and just flinging like golden darts at Xie Lian and the Windmaster. And of course Xie Lian is freaked out because he's like, somebody's going to get hurt. He's like, one of these poor ghost ladies is going to get darted when they come through to see what's happening. Or poor Ling Yang could get, or poor Long Ying could get hurt. So Xie Lian is worried about others getting hurt. Okay. Worried about others getting hurt. Sure thing. So he's worried about others getting hurt. And the Windmaster starts this duel. And so I'm pretty sure that from the chapters, didn't Xie Lian start like a little bit of a fire as a distraction? Wasn't that the case? That, yeah, you sling closely around him, the gold sheets encircling him. And then Xie Lian was afraid that the gold sheets would harm somebody. And so, what do I have there? Don't want my computer to go to sleep here. He was prepared and could see with difficulty. And so he told him to blow everything upwards. Okay. And so he told him to blow it upwards. And then, yeah, their armory was on fire. Yep. Okay. So, yeah. So the fire breaks out and Paradise Manor and the armory burn. Which is really sad, actually. It's really, really sad. Because, yeah, Xie Lian is shielding Long Ying and begging the Windmaster to stop. And who shows up? Who shows up in all of this? Who shows up in all this to make things even more complicated? Why? It's Long Chongchu. So we're going to put him over here. Long Chongchu. I said in the last set of chapters, I was like, he's probably going to go to the Heavenly Realm to get help. He didn't make it that far. He jumps into the fray. He jumps into the fire, literally, to try to fight Hua Chong head on. I'm like, Chonchu, honey, bad idea. So he goes to fight Hua Chong, and Xie Lian saves him. Essentially, he saves him, right? He saves Chonchu, basically. He shows up as the roof is blown off. I love his sword. His sword is badass. Like, Chonchu is probably one of the cooler weapons that we've seen so far in this series. But his sword magnetizes not all swords, not all metals. They said specifically they had to be like of low spiritual energy, which the darts coming out of Hua Chong's fan would be low spiritual energy. But it magnetizes metal and absorbs it. Like it absorbing the darts to become a golden sword. That's so freaking cool. I love that. That's neat. But yeah, it magnetizes of a certain strength, melts into the sword. And Hua Chong, of course, in the midst of like Paradise Manor burning, golden darts going everywhere, the Windmaster flying around, Hua Chong makes a joke that, oh man, the Heavenly Realm's getting all the gold they can, huh? And it's like, Xie Lian's just like, of all times. But Long Chuanchu gets really mad at it, and he goes to strike him down. And then we see, like, right as they're about to clash, we have the blinding white light, and Xie Lian, much like in the Banyu arc, takes Ru Yi, wraps them all around him, and, like, tells the Windmaster to, like, jettison them out of the manor and off the roof, which is what they do. And so, yeah, Paradise Manor's just burning. Like, ghosts are panicking, running amok, and Hua Chong just standing in the middle of it all, right? Hua Chong in the middle of it all. Ugh. And there's a part of me that feels like there's a part of me that's really sad about this, because it's really sad, because at this point, like, Xie Lian makes the comment, he's like, well, now he has no home. He's like, He's like, Hua Chong doesn't have a home, even though it was just a residence to him. That was a place to stay. He's like, where will Hua Chong is homeless now, right? Which he's a supreme ghost. I'm sure he can create something of his own. But Xie Lian is sad that he's without a home. And he's also sad because he's like, we were just joking around in that armory. We were just having a good time and being together. And now, just like my own armory back in Shanli, this one is completely destroyed as well. And the sad thing is that I feel like Hua Chong probably has the mindset of, if it had just been Xie Lian and I, we could have enjoyed this armory. We could have gone back to Puk Chui, back to the shrine, and been happy. But because all these other people keep getting in the way, it's not happening. So I'm getting those vibes, right? But him just in the middle of the fire, and he lets them go. And the thing of it is, I think he might have let them go anyway. He just wanted to know, he probably wanted to know as much as they did about the Earthmaster. So I think in the end, he would have let them go. Because he doesn't chase after them in the midst of, now granted, Xie Lian struck, Yiming, but I think I don't think he would have chased after them either way. I think he would have let them go. He just wanted to know more about the Earthmaster, and the Windmaster was taking them away. So that's why he was kind of like, you don't need to leave yet. But I think in the end, he would have let them go, because he doesn't chase after them. He just stays there and lets it burn. I do feel bad for him. He's all alone now. Like, Xie Lian, they leave on not good terms. They leave, like, in the midst of Xie Lian apologizing and then all this scuttle breaking out. So it's not good. And now this whole thing with Feng Xin, I'm like, does Hua Chong know about this? And we're going to talk about that. Right? I have theories, but we're going to get there, okay? So I have theories about that, if he knows about Feng Xin or not. Yeah, we're going to get there. But anyway, so Xie Lian, we find out that he was sad the armory was in ashes. The Windmaster was sorry. I want to make note with that. The Windmaster apologized. He apologized and offered to pay Hua Chong. Yeah, that's huge to me. That speaks a lot to the Windmaster's character, that not only did he apologize to Xie Lian, being like, I'm so sorry. Because here's the thing. Chongchu is in like a state of shock right now at the whole Feng Xin thing. So he's like in a frozen panic right now. So he says nothing. But, a character like Chongchu would probably be like, he deserved it. His Paradise Manor deserved to burn. And he's clearly suspicious and blah, blah, blah. The Windmaster clearly still suspects Hua Chong, but he also knows that Xie Lian and him are friends, or they're clearly more than just acquaintances. And he also knows that it's kind of his fault that the whole place burned down, and that Xie Lian's clearly sad about it. And so, rather than just being like, oh, he deserved it, like, buck up, instead of being like that, the Windmaster's like, I am so sorry that this got out of hand. I didn't mean for it to. It went beyond my capabilities. And he's like, I am so sorry. I will pay Hua Chong back in whatever he wants to rebuild his place. And Xie Lian's like, yeah, that's not the problem. He's like, he didn't really even like that place. It's just like, he went to that trouble to get that armory and offered to Xie Lian, and now it's gone. He's like, money isn't the issue. But I do like what that says for the Windmaster's character. The Windmaster is willing to make amends and is not so full of themselves that they can't admit that they did something wrong. So I really like that about the Windmaster. That makes me like their character a whole lot more, right? And the Windmaster then he's really worried about Xie Lian's arm, because Xie Lian, his right hand and arm are bloody and injured, which is so interesting. And we find out that what happened was that when Hua Chong and Long Chongchu were about to strike each other, Xie Lian realized that Chongchu's gonna die. Like, if he gets hit by Yiming, he's dead. So he jumped in the fray with his sword, did 2 parries, his sword cracked against Chongchu's, and then because it was just a sword he picked up from the armory, and then it shattered with Yiming. But the blow, of course, because Xie Lian is a freaking cinnamon roll, right? Well, his little spicy churro-ness, he absorbed the damage. And I'm sure that Hua Chong knew exactly what happened. I feel like Hua Chong just standing sadly in the flames. He knew what happened with Xie Lian. He knew that Xie Lian absorbed that attack, and he's like, you really couldn't just help it, could you? You had to hurt yourself to get them all out of there. But yeah, he absorbed the damage, And he's like, it's fine. The Windmaster is really worried. He's like, you're a bloody mess. We've got to go get help. And Chonchu's just sitting there stunned, right? And I love that we established this. I love that the Windmaster makes this assumption because it's going to be pretty big. It's something easily forgotten about Xie Lian, that he may be the flower crown. He may be the flower crown, and that's what he's known for. But he ascended because of the sword. He's a hero. He's a hero because he's a swordsman. And we're going to talk about that. But yeah, Windmaster's like, he's known for being the flower-crowned martial god, but it's because of his swordsmanship. That's why he ascended the first time. Still, we get a little bit more about the second ascension. A little bit more. Still shrouded in mystery. We got a little bit more. We're getting there, right? We're slowly crumbling along, right? But yeah, so he's like, he ascended because of his talent with the sword. And the Windmaster calls for help. Now, the Windmaster knows what's up in the heavenly realm, right? The Windmaster's popular enough and knows that money talks, right? Because when they get up there to get help, first of all, Xie Lian, because he's a patron saint, does not want help for himself. He thinks he'll be fine. He just wants to get help for the Earthmaster, right? Because the Earthmaster is gravely injured. And so he's like calling for help, and the Windmaster's like, it's all right, I'm going to spread some merits around. We'll get these people to come here. And Xie Lian's like, no, don't pay anybody. We'll get help. They'll come. And the Windmaster's like, no, honey, no. They're not going to come unless we pay them. And so that's like the Windmaster being kind of self-aware of the corruption within the Heavenly Court and the capital is kind of, it's good to see his character kind of point it out because it's like, yeah, there is some corruption there. And Xie Lian just doesn't realize how much it is that money talks more than word alone. So I like that he puts Yong'an in the side room. So honestly, since we don't have much left with the Earthmaster to talk about, I'm going to put like some of our questions over here. Like, so the Waning Moon Officer, they're MIA. They've conveniently vanished from the story until MXCX brings them out again. Poor Long Ying. Long Ying got drugged from the ghost realm to the heavenly realm like within 2 chapters and is in a side chamber. I'm like, I hope, Xie Lian, you don't forget about him. Because otherwise people are going to be like, what are you doing here? And he's like, so he's in a side chamber. Hopefully he's not forgotten. But he's over there now, right? He gets put there. And then Xie Lian tells them to treat the Earthmaster. And who shows up? Who shows up first to the cause? Feng Xin. And I want to make note that I think this part's really interesting. I'm going to bring them out here. I find this part interesting that we have Feng Xin. Feng Xin shows up first. I feel like Feng Xin was the last person to leave Xie Lian before the end when Xie Lian was all by himself, and he's the first one to come back to him. And he's all concerned. He's very concerned and stern. He's just like, Xie Lian, what are you doing? Why are you hurt? This is why we can't let you have things. Like, we have to child lock the house. That's how Feng Xin... I love it, because Feng Xin and Nanfeng, they kind of both have the same, like parental approach, being like, this is why you have to child-proof everything, Xie Lian, because you keep hurting yourself. But then Mu Qing shows up. Of course, the first 2 to show up to the cause are his 2 subordinates formerly. But Mu Qing, he shows up right after Feng Xin. But he's a bit different. He seems almost like he wants to stir the pot. He seems like he wants to stir the pot and see Xie Lian's reaction. He doesn't give off the concerned vibes. He gives off the vibes of being like, what are you going to do, Xie Lian? So that's curious. It kind of, again, reminds me of Fu Yao, who would be kind of snarky and sassy. Mu Qing kind of has that appearance about him as well, right? Yeah, Feng Xin's concerned. Mu Qing just kind of scoffs and tends to the Earthmaster instead. He's like, I'm here, but I'm not here for you. I just, showed up to see what's going on, right? Total tsundere. Anyway, so the heavenly officials come to investigate. Mostly they're just being nosy, and mainly they just want merits. It's like they're like the people in like the small town that's like, I want to see what's going on. There's a helicopter over here. And then, they just stick around, but they have no contribution to the scene at all. That's instantly what it reminded me of. I was like, okay. All right, this is mirroring real life just a wee bit. But Lan Chonchu has been in a state of shock. this entire time. And we find out why he's in a state of shock, because he's just seen a ghost. Literally. He's seen the Guoshi. And he calls Xie Lian the Guoshi Fengshin of Yong'an. Oh my. So, I had to go back and see in Volume 1 where the Guoshi was first mentioned. And in Volume 1 of the official English translation on page 240, they are first talked about when they were trying to see if the preceptor of Banyu was a woman or not, because they think, this is back when they thought, they saw the two women and thought that the Windmaster and Earthmaster might have been them. So it said, could it have been the other evil preceptor Fengshin? Fu Yao wondered. And this is what Xie Lian says. I think regarding that, the whole dual evil masters title was only given because historically their actions were similar. Both were equally evil, so people connected them as a pair to remember them more easily. Like the 4 great calamities of the ghost realm. Even if there aren't really 4 that fit, they are made 4 because it's simpler. And then hearing Xie Lian say this, Sanlong burst out laughing. And Xie Lian stared at him. It's nothing, Sanlong said. I just thought that what you said made sense. Of the 4 in the great calamities, certainly only 1 is there for head count. Please continue. So we'll talk about that. So the basically Xie Lian is making note back then that Fengshin was connected to Banyu, even though they were different. They were from different times. They were like 100 years apart, but their actions were similar. And Xie Lian calls Fengshin evil in that time period, but we'll talk about this. And Sanlong kind of laughs about it, like, oh, yeah. And so then it says, in reality, the dual evil masters have nothing to do with each other. I've heard the state preceptor Fengshin. He was the state preceptor of Yong'an, born at least 100 years earlier than the state preceptor Banyu. And then Fu Yao says, you don't know the 4 great calamities in the ghost realm, but you know about the state preceptor Fengshin of Yong'an in the mortal realm? I overhear things while collecting scraps in the mortal realm. It's not like I collect scraps in the ghost realm, so of course I don't learn anything about them. So, and that's really all that's said about them, pretty much. So yeah. So Fengshin just kind of, Xie Lian just kind of says, you just hear about these things, scrap collecting in the mortal realm. You don't hear about anything in the ghost realm, but it's just what you've been heard. So he's been told that he is Fengshin, which at the time, Xie Lian just doesn't, there's no hint in Volume 1. There's no hint that Xie Lian is him. He knows about him, supposedly, which Fu Yao kind of thinks is odd. Like, oh, you know how about him, but not the Great Calamities? Like, well, the Great Calamities is like a ghost realm thing. How would I know about that? And you don't really think twice about it. You're just like, maybe we'll see that Fengshin guy again one day. But I wonder, there is a part of me that wonders if I'm like 90% sure that Fengshin is in fact Xie Lian, but there's 10% of me that's like, I think it's somebody else. And so I'll tell you about that in a second, because I've got it written down in my notes. And one of the 2 wicked masters, the Guoshi Fengshin, 2 of the masters of Yong'an, that no one knew his real identity. Xie Lian, they're like, Xie Lian was the evil that brought ruin to Yong'an? Really? So then Long Chongchu is totally a different person. Yeah, that is the one sad thing, is that Chongchu, he is so enraged, right? He is so enraged and full of hatred. They're like hatred, despair, enmity. They're like, he's not the happy-go-lucky Buzz Lightyear anymore. He's super pissed because his whole family was slaughtered by this person, right? Was slaughtered by them. And so he said, I killed you myself. I sealed you in a coffin. You're a crafty one. So that is the thing. Like, okay, now wait a minute. So he says that Fengshin he killed and put in a 3-layered coffin. Okay. So, I mean, the killing part, if Xie Lian was ascended, that's kind of the weird thing with the timeline, though, right? The weird thing with the timeline is, well, he wouldn't have been ascended at the point. Because Fengshin in the timeline, if I'm thinking about this right, would have been, he was talked about being a street performer, right? Being a street performer. But that was after, no Huck, that was after his first descension. When he was first banished, right? Because the whole thing with Banyu was after he had descended. And he had the shackles on. He was just a street performer, right? He couldn't die because he was still like immortal, but he was stuck there on Earth. So, that's so weird. I'm like, why? Okay. Lots of questions. So I was like, so him getting in the coffin though, I'm like, how did he get out of the coffin? If he was Feng Shen, again, I'm like 90% sure that he is. If he was Feng Shen and he was put in the coffin, how did he get out? That seems like it'd be really difficult to do so unless you had help. How do you get out of the coffin? I don't know. How does that work? And he said, I killed you myself. But my thing I was going back to the whole street performer thing. My thing is that Xie Lian, he seemed like he was in such despair after losing Shan Li but we'll talk about that. Okay, we'll talk about that. That he was in despair after Shan Li fell and he descended. We'll talk about that. Okay, all right. So, in any case, they say that, well, Pei Ming shows up. And just for fun. And the Windmaster's really aggravated about it. So, I like the Windmaster's like, why are you here? The Windmaster is aggravated that Pei Ming, and my dog wants me to play with him, and it's not time because we're talking about Heaven Official's blessing. He's aggravated that Pei Ming shows up. Pei Ming just comes to stir the tea a little bit more, right? Pei Ming just shows up to be like, what about this? And Windmaster's like, leave Xie Lian alone. He's like crying under the sheet, like, leave Brittany alone. But Pei Ming shows up and says, and he kind of, I guess, helps Xie Lian a little bit, because he says, now Feng Shen was, I'm going to say how to describe him. Feng Shen, we'll put under, I guess, that he wore a white gold mask, and was mysterious, cold, and proud. Mysterious, cold, and proud. Now, I thought of two things when he said that. One was, as my dog's like, please play with me. One was that sounds like San Long. Cold, proud, mysterious, sounds like San Long. Wearing a white gold mask, well, in the very first volume, it's not on here, but in the very first volume, when we saw, like, in the Donghua, Xie Lian coming and saving the boy bandage, he had a white gold mask on. So, would it be unreasonable to think that it could be San Long as Hua Chong that posed as Feng Shen to kill Long Chongchu's family and just had the white gold mask because he worshipped Xie Lian? And he did it, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, but it sounds like him. It sounds like San Long. Mysterious, cold, and proud. Doesn't sound like Xie Lian or Cinnamon Roll, right? However, there's two ways I think this could go, right? One way is that if Xie Lian is in fact Feng Shen, right? That it's after the fall of Shan Li and after his dissension, right? It's after he fell. After Jun Wu, like, stripped him of his godhood the first time. So, Xie Lian being in a really bad place, mentally and spiritually and everything else, being in this bad place, it would not be unreasonable to think that he would have became cold, right? And he was proud of his former kingdom, and he became kind of distant, right? It would be understanding that he would be like that if he was going through this depression from losing his kingdom and his family, and time passes, and he sees Yong'an and runs into Long Chongchu. Because Long Chongchu says that he ran into him when he was 12 years old, right? When he was 12 years old, he ran into him, but Xie Lian saved him with like a stick. Saved him with a stick. And he was brought to his parents to teach him the way of the sword for 5 years. Okay. So the street performer thing all checks out because we know Xie Lian's been a street performer with Banyu before. We know that's something he's done. So that part checks out. And so it would check out he was really good with the sword because he was, a martial god. So it would make sense for Xie Lian to have become the swordsman that taught him. right? Maybe to try to like atone and just try to like start over again and be like, oh, I can do right and teach this kid the right way. So I think, though, that it's one of two things that happened. I think it's one of two things. Either Xie Lian is in fact Fengshen, and he may have been Fengshen. He may have changed his name and became Fengshen because we know he's taken on other names before. He did General Hua, so that could very well be it. And Fengshen is not too different than his former subordinate, so, you know, could have been thinking of his friend and thinking of that name. So he could have became that, and then taught Lan Chanshu for 5 years to be swordsman. And then they make a point of saying this about Yong'an, though. And that's what kind of makes me think that it could be Xie Lian or Sanlong, is that they make a note that Yong'an, when they first took over, they repeated history, is what I'm going to put here. When they first took over Shanli, they made the comment that they were not going to live in excess anymore. They were going to be doing things for the people. They were going to do things for the people. But as time passed, they let go of those ideals and they slipped back into the ways of the past and started to go again as a culture of excess. So, I think it could go either two ways. Either Xie Lian found out that Yong'an was repeating history, and maybe he decided to kill the royal family in an attempt to prevent what happened with Shanli from happening again. But that doesn't seem right? That doesn't seem to check out right? Something's missing. Something is missing from this story. Something's missing from Chanshu's story. And it would make sense Chanshu wouldn't know, because when he was 17, again, the parallels of him being 17 when his whole family was slaughtered to the time when Xie Lian ascended is crazy. But it would make sense that Chanshu wouldn't know the full story, because we've established Chanshu's character that he kind of like, he falls asleep during meetings. He doesn't pay attention. He's kind of absent-minded. He's not, he's not focused, right? And so him missing some important and vital information of what happened at the time as a 17-year-old, yeah, that would totally check out. And Xie Lian's been around for a couple of 100 years at that point, so he's a much different person than he was when he was the first flower-crowned martial god. So yeah, there's that. So it could be that Fengshen, after learning if Xie Lian is him, after learning that Yong'an was going to do something bad, or they were corrupt again, or that killing the royal family would save Yong'an from something bad happening, that Xie Lian went through it. And Lan Chanshu just happened to arrive late and see the aftermath, right? So there's that. The other side of it, though, is that it could be Sanlong that is, or aka Huachong, that is Fengshen, right? Because Pei Ming does say that they had a mask on. You couldn't tell what their face was, so it could be anybody. So maybe Xie Lian was the same street performer that taught Lang Chanshu, but then the night of the Gilded Banquet, that night could have happened that Sanlong Huachong showed up with the mask on that Xie Lian normally wore as Fengshen and slaughtered the family in his place. Because, it shows him clad in black, and then the thing of it is that goes back to the whole Golden Palaces thing, right? Xie Lian gets this anxiety just from having a palace destroyed. Why would he kill all of his family? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't sound like, even if Xie Lian was mad, even if he saw the corruption within Yong'an mirroring that had started within his own kingdom, Xie Lian's been established as somebody that doesn't want to destroy palaces. Unless after this event happened, he changed his tune and decided, no, I really don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to totally change my ideology. But for Huachong, it seems more in line with his ideology. He's like, yeah, let's topple this kingdom. Let's do this. And maybe if it is Huachong that's actually Fengshen, or acted on behalf of Fengshen when he killed Lan Chanshu's family, maybe he found out that the Yong'an family was going to betray Fengshen. Maybe they found out he was going to sentence him to death or something, or try to I don't know. I just feel like it's either Xie Lian is in fact Fengshen and killed all of Chanshu's family, which is insane, but not, I guess you can't put it out of the realm of reason, or Sanlong, the night of the banquet, it impersonated him to kill the family, and that's what Lan Chanshu saw. And then maybe Xie Lian saw the aftermath and was like, I need to get out of here. It just seems really weird for Xie Lian to be talking about it in this book so casually, without any hints, without anything at all. And Sanlong laughing about it makes it kind of suspicious. Why was he finding it so funny? And then he just makes up that thing about the calamities to say instead. But then Xie Lian does have a spotty memory. Xie Lian has been established to have a faulty memory, so maybe he blocked all of that out. But you would think if he blocked all of it out, that he wouldn't want to just casually bring it up here, right? Right? Because like with the calamity and stuff, whenever stuff's brought up, it's like this big traumatic, post-traumatic stress thing. In this, it seems different. But we'll get more into this. It's so fascinating, right? The mystery of it all. So yeah, the Windmaster and Xie Lian, they turn, and what do I have on this? Yeah. The heavenly realm, they point and calm. Yeah, it says here, I really get kind of sad when Xie Lian and the Windmaster are in the heavenly realm, because MXTX makes a point of saying that when they were out and about in the ghost realm, they were having fun and being hilarious and crazy hijinks, right? But the moment they get back into the heavenly realm, it's like solemn, on our best behavior, super mindful and polite. Which I wanted to make a point of is exactly the opposite of the Ghost City. In the Ghost City, it's like everybody does whatever they want. It's chaos. You're not supposed to act, polite and reformed. You do whatever you want. It's all free. And then here, it's very restrictive. And then Daddy Jun Wu shows up. Right? And the first thing he does when he shows up is that he stops Xie Lian's bleeding. So the first thing he does is stop that bleeding. So he does care about Xie Lian, interestingly enough. And they send the Earthmaster away. So the Earthmaster is going to be taken out. We still don't know what's happening down here. Takes him away. And then Lang Chongqu says that Xie Lian changed his name and brought his clan to ruin and requests a duel. He's like, let's prove it. He's like, when you struck my sword, I knew that was you. But now the question is, again, could it have been San Long somehow, Three Ming? I don't know. Could there be something there? I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm 90% sure that Xie Lian is in fact Feng Shen. But something just seems off about it. Like we don't know the full story. Something is amiss. And Xie Lian doesn't want to talk about it. He really doesn't want to talk about it. So that leads me to believe that there's more to the story. And I'm thinking that what's more to the story is something that's going to hurt Lang Chongqu's feelings. It's something that's going to devastate him. And Xie Lian, because he's our patron saint, is like, I really don't want you to know about all this. He's like, it's better, again, like Hua Chong said, it's better if you don't get too involved and you don't know too much. The truth can hurt, right? And so I feel like that's why Xie Lian does not want to go into any more details about it. So everyone, I love that while everybody's like, wait, who's Feng Shen? How's that going? They all leave to go to the communication array and go do research. They gotta go get on Google and look things up. And Ling Wen's like, I was having a normal day. Everything was going fine. Why is this happening? I just love that they all show up for Ling Wen to give them research. It's great. But Xie Lian, Lang Chongqu says he was late to his 17th banquet and then showed up to find his family slaughtered. And there is a question of, was Yong'an repeating its history, repeating the history of Shan Li? Because they say after the family slaughtered, everything goes downhill. We don't know exactly how Chongqu ascended, but we know that everything with his family went downhill, and eventually Yong'an was toppled over and taken over by another city after the royal family and the monarchy was destroyed. So fun times, and everyone believes that Feng Shen was after, if it was Xie Lian, it was pure vengeance. That it was getting revenge on Shan Li falling to Yong'an. And I just don't think that that's right. I think there's a lot more to it than that. Even if it's Shan Li, even if it's Xie Lian that is Feng Shen, I think there's more to it. There's more to the story that we don't know about. And Xie Lian doesn't want to talk about it. He's like, let's just leave it. It's a mute point. Let's not do anymore. And so Jun Wu, when he looks at Xie Lian and Xie Lian closes his eyes like he's guilty. It's like, it's okay. And then Lang Chongqu says he recognized the sword strike, so he knows. He's like, I was taught by the sword by this person. I would know what their sword strikes sound like. I know that's Feng Shen, even though I couldn't see his face. My thing is, you killed Feng Shen and you didn't take the mask off? What the hell? Why wouldn't you take the mask off? But I guess at the time, he didn't know who Xie Lian was. Xie Lian was a formerly ascended god. Lang Chongqu didn't know that, so why would he take the mask off? Why would he do that? He had no reason to. Just leave it on. I would have wanted to know what he looked like. If I'm being honest, if it were me, I don't think I have the power to kill anybody, but if I did have the dead body with the mask on, I want to be like, what did he look like? I'd want to take a peek, right? But I guess he was so mad, he just didn't even want to see what he looked like. I guess. Which is a shame, because if he had, he would have known for sure if it was Xie Lian or not. Could have solved our problems, but alas, we don't get that. And so it's interesting because Xie Lian, he doesn't defend himself at all throughout this. He doesn't defend himself. He doesn't speak up. He doesn't argue. He just kind of accepts it. He's just like, yep, it was me. Like, he's just like, he's so silent during all of this. Like, we don't get much with his character at all, which is really, really sad, right? And so Mu Qing seems like he just wants to egg things on. He just wants to poke it with a stick. He's like, come on. He keeps asking Lang Xie things, and the book makes a note saying, like, it appears as if he's trying to help Xie Lian, but he's actually just trying to provoke things and make things worse, right? And Jun Wu asks for proof. He's like, you got proof of this? He's like, he wants to be objective. He asks for proof, which he's the Heavenly Emperor. If he's a fair cop, that makes sense. And that's when he talks about the sword striking, all of that. And so he's just stoking the fire. And Lang Xie talks about when he met the street performer who saved him, and he asked his parents to make him a Guoshi. Again, that checks out with Xie Lian pretty well, right? And so then Xie Lian's like, well, I'm not fighting you. And the Windmaster tries to come in and is like, no. He's like, hey, the Windmaster tries to diffuse the situation, right? He tries to help Xie Lian. He's like, hey, we can't fight. He's like, Xie Lian's arm's all bloody and damaged. He's like, you can't fight him on equal terms. What kind of a duel would that be? So what does Lang Xie do? He hurts his own right arm. He makes his own right arm just as injured. And everybody's like, he's like, now look, we're equal. Let's fight. He's like, I know that you're dexterous. You can use both hands. So Xie Lian can fight with either hand. No. Which makes sense because he's this big swords master. He's a swords geek. He's a fighter. Yep, makes sense, right? Of course he'd be able to fight with both hands. He's like, let's do this. I just want to see. It's like he wants proof. He wants to prove that he's right, that it is you, and to expose Xie Lian. And Xie Lian's like, I really don't want to be a part of any of this. And so he injures his own hands and asks for Xie Lian to fight him. And he's like, duel me if you're a man. And Xie Lian says that I swore many years ago to never kill with a sword again. So he has swore to himself to never, not to fight, right? Because he does fight, but never to not kill with a sword again. That is such a chilling line because it's already suggesting at that moment he's like, if I fight, I'm going to kill you. It's like, ah! He's like, and I swore I would never do that again. So he's like, I'm not picking up a sword. Which, if he did something like this, sure, makes sense why he wouldn't want to pick up a sword again. He's like, I slaughtered this kid's family. I can't. But then it begs the question of why. Why did you do it? If you killed this family, what was the point? Why did you do it? I'm so curious with the timeline. And again, I don't want answers, but I'm curious with the timeline as we go, where this falls in line. Because we clearly have the first ascension. We clearly have that. Then we have the white calamity. Then we have his descension for the first time. And then somewhere along the way is this whole Yong'an business with Feng Xin, right? And so then the question is, where does the second ascension come into play with this? Where's that? How does that work? He didn't ascend, or the thing of it is, you think he didn't ascend if after killing that family, right? Because he's put in the coffin. But what if he ascended from the coffin after he was? What if after Lang Xie killed him and put him in the coffin, he ascended a second time from the coffin, and that's how he got out? That could be. That very well could be. And then, and then he got mad and maybe fought Jun Wu over it. It was like, I killed this whole family to ascend again. What the fudge? And then, because Lang Xie makes a note, he's like, descending is not a problem. You're just trying to get the easy way out. He's like, losing your godhood and going back to the mortal realm, that's an easy way out. He's like, you've done it 3 times already. He's like, you've got the skill to ascend. No. So could Xie Lian have tried? Did he slaughter the family? If he was Feng Shen and he did slaughter the family, could he have done it to try to ascend that second time? But then why did he want to ascend the second time? What was the point? Why did he fight Jun Wu as soon as he got there? What was the point? So we don't know those answers yet, which is fine. I'm fine. It's fine. But it does beg the question, right? So yeah, if he had been killed by Lan Chanchu and put in the coffin, an ascension would have released him from that. But why kill the family? What's the deal? What's the point with that? We don't know. But the Windmaster, like, I love the Windmaster holding down the sword with his whisk. I love him using the whisk to hold down the sword. That's great. But Lang Chanchu says he remembers someone clad in black pulling a long sword from the dead bodies of his parents. Again, the clad in black, it just doesn't seem like Xie Lian. It seems more like San Long. I don't know. But then I love that he's like, do you concede to Tai Hua's words? And he says, I concede. And it's a frosty tone unlike anything he said before. That he concedes. And at that point, I thought, okay, he is Feng Shen. He's committed these awful crimes and has spent the last so many 100 years as a scrap collector trying to be humble and atone for his sins. Okay, that makes sense. Makes sense why he doesn't want to use a sword. Doesn't want to fight, wants to save people. It makes a lot of sense why he would think that the idea of saving people would be such a stupid and idealistic thing for someone like him if he'd committed all these atrocious crimes. Makes our little cinnamon bun have a dark past. Okay, and he's trying to atone for it. But then it's this line. Where he says with determination, he says, there was silence and they looked up and was determined. That's right. It was me. Now, you can read that 2 ways. Either he's affirming it, like, yes, I'm going to own up to it, own up to this moment, it's me. Or Xie Lian knows that it wasn't him, but he also might know who it could have been and doesn't want them to get in any more trouble. If he knows it was San, but then why? If he knows that if he knows that he's not Feng Shen, I'm like, is he just trying to run away? I feel like maybe if Xie Lian, that whole it was me, either he's owning up to it and admitting that it was him, or he doesn't want to cause any more conflict. He doesn't want to get Lang Chanchu killed, but he doesn't want to blame anybody else for it or try to make an excuse. So he just tries to say, yes, it was me. Sure, yep, that was me. You're right. I did it. So punish me. That seems like it would be Xie Lian too. If it wasn't really him, but he took the blame for it, that seems like something Xie Lian would very much do. But I don't know. Again, I'm 90% sure that he is in fact Feng Shen and he's just had this dark, dark past and we're just now getting up to it. But again, Xie Lian, when he finds out it's Chanchu, he doesn't really react to it. And I'm like, if you taught him sword fighting for 5 years and then betrayed him and killed his entire family, would you really not have any reaction to him? None at all? I guess maybe if his memory's that faulty, but I would think we would have gotten some sort of reaction from Xie Lian instead of him just being like, it's okay. I don't know. Part of me thinks he's covering for somebody, and part of me thinks that it is him. And I need to read more chapters to find out what the answer is, right? But then they say is words of steel with no turning back. Yeah, once he's taken credit for it, he can't go back. So he's saying it's him, and now that's history. Okay. So then many on the court, and they say that many on the court have had blood on their hands. So they acknowledge that the court's not totally hypocritical. They're like, yeah, a lot of us, we've killed some people in our pasts. But they make note that none of the blood debts have been as bad as they have been like this. Like usually the people who are the victims don't end up as the gods. That's the thing. Usually the victims don't end up ascending to come back and ask for payment. And Lan Chanchu is like the biggest case of it. So that's why it's kind of a big deal. And they're like, well, Pei Jr. was exiled even though he had Pei Ming's influence. But his exile was like, it was just like you'll come back in a few years. It's fine. A few hundred years, you'll be good. But Xie Lian, They're like, Xie Lian had no one backing him like Pei Ming. So his fate depended on Jun Wu's, if he still had valued past affections and held with the heart his utmost favor and held the heart to protect him. Okay. So I'm going to just guess that they're exes. They're exes, but Jun Wu ain't ready to let him go. No, he's not. Because, yeah, they're basically, and everybody in the Heavenly Realm knows, they're like, yeah, Jun Wu treats Xie Lian a little bit better than everybody else. So basically, they talk about in the first ascension, yeah, Jun Wu favored him. So yeah, Jun Wu, he's the one that came down and found him when he first ascended, after he battled that monster. So yeah, he favored him. Jun Wu fell in love, right? But then stuff happened, and it makes sense now. He told Xie Lian not to go down during the whole thing with Shan Li. Xie Lian didn't listen, and so afterwards there was probably a big scandal, and Jun Wu as Heavenly Emperor was like, I've got to demote you. Sorry, but call me, keep up with me. I've got to do my job as a cop, but keep up, man. So yeah, it's like Xie Lian committed a crime, and Jun Wu was like, I'm kind of the authority here. I have to punish you, but call me. One of those deals. So then there's his second ascension. They fought. So again, they're just building up the mystery of that second ascension. They give you just enough to be teased. How dare they? How dare you, MXTX? But yeah, in the second ascension, they had a huge fight. Xie Lian stabbed him a few times before he was defeated. Yeah, it was just a huge scuffle. That's the breakup. For whatever reason, we don't know yet. And then the third ascension, they all made up. Xie Lian's like, bye, it's been a couple, 400 or 500 years. It's fine. They're in peace. It says that they are in peace together. And as if conflicts forgotten. But conflicts forgotten. However, Jun Wu built a palace for Xie Lian in the nicest area of the heavenly capital. Jun Wu is not over Xie Lian. No, he built him a palace because bitches love palaces. He built him a palace in the nicest area. Like, he built him a palace in the nicest area. He wants Xie Lian to keep in contact with him. He's like, he wants him to come back, right? He wants Xie Lian to come back. And Xie Lian has kind of moved on to redder things. He's kind of moved on to maybe bigger, better things. I don't know. But yeah, Xie Lian's kind of moved on. He's like, no, we're friends now. He's friend zoned Jun Wu. He's like, we're friends now, right? We had our thing. We're all good to go. We're friends. Everything's fine. And Jun Wu's like, not done. However, I do think that brings up an interesting point now of why Jun Wu did not want Xie Lian to touch Yiming or to get a hold of Yiming. And it wasn't because he thought that Xie Lian would be cursed. I think that if Xie Lian is in fact Feng Xin and has had violent episodes before in his past, Jun Wu is like, hey, you shouldn't touch that sword because if it's got lots of deadly intent and you get a hold of it, you might slaughter an entire kingdom. Don't do that. So maybe that was it. But then that begs the question, why did you send him there in the first place? Why? If you like him, why'd you send him to go find Hua Chong? I refuse to believe that there was no one else qualified that could have gone down there. I think he solely sent Xie Lian down there because he knows Xie Lian is of incredible integrity, and he did have faith that he would be as professional as possible. But still, that's such a gamble, right? Mm-hmm. And Xie Lian requests to be banished first. She's like, oh my godhood stripped. Want my ascension done. But by this point, everybody's kind of shocked. They're like, wow, we would never want to descend. That's kind of like the last thing we'd want. But you've done it 3 times now, so maybe it's just old hat for you and you're just used to it. And it's like, no, Xie Lian just doesn't want to fight Long Changchu because he thinks he's going to kill him. He's like, let's not go there. And Changchu kind of calls him out and says that he's like, no, you could ascend again because of your skills. I just want to duel you. And everybody's also commenting that Xie Lian doesn't want to carry a sword because it would reveal himself as Feng Xin. And it's like, no, he doesn't want to carry the sword because he doesn't want to be violent anymore. But yeah, and then that end of the chapter, that last line, he's like, Xie Lian said plainly, no reason. Fight me and you will for sure die. Oh my god, I've talked over an hour. So, Xie Lian, our spicy churro, either Xie Lian has an incredibly dark past that may have reasons that we don't know yet. Hua Chong loves him either way. or Xie Lian is covering for someone and we don't know the full story. Either way, Hua Chong's still in love with him. Either way. And we're going to find out eventually. But there's this series, this chapter, this set of chapters gave us so much to work with and so much new information. But the thing about it that's the craziest thing is that we still don't have the full picture. We still don't know everything that's going down. We don't. And MXTX isn't going to tell us the full picture till later on in oncoming chapters. But we're getting little pieces, right? But this whole thing, it is a love triangle. It is. Xie Lian doesn't think so. He doesn't even think he's in a love triangle. But yeah, Jun Wu. Yep. Jun Wu still has maybe some feelings for old Xie Lian. Perhaps. Perhaps, methinks. And Hua Chong's like definitely has feelings for Xie Lian. So, The king of the ghosts and the king of the heavenly realm both vying their affections for this little murder child. No! For this spicy churro that has perhaps a dark past, but is trying to reform himself and be a better person and live out his original ideals of saving people. I have a feeling when we find out the truth about this whole Feng Xin deal, because I know we don't know the truth of it. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm sure we'll go back to Yong'an and talk about this in more detail later. And I'm sure it's going to be the most tragic thing I've ever heard of. So, I thought the human face disease was bad enough, but poor Xie Lian, no wonder he forgets everything. He's had a terrible past. He doesn't want to forget all that. He doesn't want to remember all that stuff. So I'm sure we'll find out eventually, but my questions are at this point, the things that are unanswered and unsaid amidst all this chaos is the Waning Moon Officer. We still don't know who it is. And Lang Ying is in the side chamber. I'm hoping that somebody takes him to Xie Lian. Hoping that whenever all this is resolved, if Xie Lian gets banished and sent back to the mortal realm, I hope somebody sends Lang Ying back to him. But I don't know if that's going to happen or what's going to happen. So, again, I know this is probably the hardest y'all are, I know what y'all are doing. You're all just sitting there being like, I want to tell you so bad. And I just ask that you be patient with me. I'll figure it out. But if there's other things about the chapter you want to talk about that's not plot spoilers, I would love to hear your comments about them down below. There's plenty to talk about. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And yeah, I will be back next week with the Manhua chapter 83 and chapters 46 and 47 of Heaven Official's Blessing.